In Haiti, there are so many gangs.
Yes.
Today, we'd like you to explain to our viewers
Yes.
the gangs in Haiti that were killed, the gang leaders in Haiti that were killed by the police or were killed by who? Can you explain to them just slowly everything about gang that were killed?
That a gang leader has been killed. And everyone thought that was Barbecue. That was not Barbecue. That was Makandal. His name was Makandal. And this Makandal was killed by an armed, it's not an armed group, but a resistance group to the gangs called Bouakale. Another gang leader that was also killed was someone called Julma. Yeah?
Ernest
Julma, aka Tigreg. This was the leader of the Delma 95. You remember Delma?
Yes.
Delma is the region where Barbecue comes from. Barbecue comes from Delma 6 to be specific, and his gang, his initial gang is Delma 6. They received some supplies over the weekend, and now they are ready. They are ready to go and face even the gangs wherever they are. So they received armories, they received armed vehicles, they received even ammunition that will now help them to go and counter the gangs, as well as Jamaica sent some of its troops. Hello guys, welcome, and this is yet another great session where we're going to discuss about international politics, and specifically we want also to go back again to Haiti and talk about crime in Haiti and the gangs there in Haiti. Jeff?
Yes, the reason why, Bonnie, I think we should talk about this.
Yes.
There are so many people that always think that when you talk about gang was killed, there are so many gangs. You said last time that in Haiti there are so many gangs.
Yes.
Today, we'd like you to explain to our viewers the gangs in Haiti that were killed, the gang leaders in Haiti that were killed by the police or were killed by who? Can you explain to them just slowly everything about gang that were killed? Yes.
Well, during the month of March, we saw reports in media that a gang leader has been killed in Haiti. This is about March 17th, around there. That a gang leader has been killed. And everyone thought that was Barbecue. That was not Barbecue. That was Makandal. His name was Makandal. And this Makandal was killed by an armed, it's not an armed group, but a resistance group to the gangs called Bouakale. So it is the Bouakale group is a group of vigilantes, people who are taking charge of their own country and say that the police are not here to help us, the courts are not here to help us, so we have to help ourselves by attacking these gangs and people who are affiliated to these gangs. So that is when the police were going to fight this Makandal, and they were assisted by Bouakale, that movement. Yes, that is one. We are going to come back to Bouakale and explain what is Bouakale to people. Another gang leader that was also killed was someone called Julma. Ernest Julma, aka Tigreg. This was the leader of the Delma 95. You remember Delma?
Yes.
Delma is the region where Barbecue comes from. Barbecue comes from Delma 6 to be specific, and his gang, his initial gang is Delma 6. But then again you have this Julma, Ernest, or Tigreg, who had Delma 95. So Delma is a region in Port-au-Prince, and it has numbers given to it, the specific regions in that Delma. So you have Delma 6, maybe you have Delma 5, maybe you have, then there is Delma 95. So Tigreg came from Delma 95. Tigreg was a very close ally, or a very close friend to Jimmy Chirizia, Barbecue. And when Tigreg was killed, it was a devastating effect to Barbecue, and of course Barbecue wanted to bring in all people, and that the fact that Vivan Sam was not will not be able to be achieved without Tigreg, without his ally. It took him a bit back, but now that Tigreg was killed, I think Barbecue came to be well with it and decided now to go on with the assault on his own with the people who are on his side. So that is Tigreg. and that is also Makandal. Those are the two gang leaders who were killed recently. But by that time, the Kenyan forces are not yet gone to Haiti. So this was specifically for the Haitian National Police. So something else, the Bwakale that now assisted in killing Makandal is a vigilante group, as I said earlier. This is a vigilante group that people who are tired about the system. You know, Jeff, if you are in a society and you feel that this society is not acting up the way that you expect it to do, people are being killed, there are a lot of crimes, people are being maimed, and nothing is being done to be able to prevent these actions from happening. It is only a matter of time until the society now starts acting on its own. Yeah. And we've even seen it here in Kenya, where people see someone stealing, and then they just say that we're not even going to take this one to the police station. We're going to deal with it here and now.
I think that usually happened the time that were Gaza group, there were
yes.
a group called Guli,
yes.
mostly in those
Eastlands
areas, Eastlands.
Yes, yeah. And people didn't want them to go to the police. True. Because they say that this one is going to the police or to the cells, and then they're going to come back to the streets and haunt the same people who wanted him to or her to face the law. So what this Bwakale is doing there in Haiti is basically to take the law upon their arms, and they're trying to fight the gangs. It is an anti-gang kind of an association. Well, the police, the Haitian National Police, is not supporting the Bwakale movement, but yet again they've not come out very strongly to oppose it. The Haitian media as well did not even also come out to expressly dissociate their movement or their cause with Bwakale. So they are like, okay, you have a gang here that you are doing something good, but you know you are doing it in the wrong way, but it's okay, you can just continue doing it. I think it is a wrong thing. It is a wrong thing to take the law upon yourself, because just recently the movement was also implicated in killing a police officer, and they did that while the police officer was considered to be innocent. So you'll find that there are those mistakes that will happen if you let that kind of a movement to go on. That also happens in Mexico. You have these people who are against these drug gangs, and they form a particular movement, they form a particular group, and they say that we are only here to fight the gangs that are affecting our lives. And then at the end of the day, you find that when they are let to grow, they start operating in the same way as gangs do. Yeah. So there is no way that someone can convince any other person that this movement would solve the issues that Haiti is going through. But the problem is as well that you have a police force that was understaffed. This is before the Kenyan forces went there, the MSS went there. So at that time, if you want maybe we can just try to reason with the Haitian people. You have a police force of 9,000 people. 9,000 policing 12 million people. It is absurd. It is absurd. Yeah. Then you have a system that has collapsed. Yeah. The judiciary system has collapsed. Everything has collapsed. You don't have a government. Then you have gangs or gang leaders in different sections of the city controlling you and holding arms against you. They are doing all sorts of things against women. They are doing all sorts of things against people. They are kidnapping and etc. So it is only a matter of time when people just say that we are tired of this and we want to solve issues the best way we can so that we can return to normalcy. So gang leaders or gangs are afraid of Bwakale. And the method that these Bwakale use is to go and take those people who are implicated in to be in gangs, and they burn them on the streets. Yeah, you are killed and you are burned on the streets. Kwa barabara tu hapo, then you are left there to rot. So that is the method that they use. So even people who are in gangs are afraid of them. But then again, even those who are in gangs, they wouldn't want to find you as a member of Bwakale. They will also. So it is a confusion of everyone fighting another one, and that is the kind of situation that Haiti finds itself in. Yes.
Okay, as we were finishing, we saw that in Haiti there were some criminals that walitorokwa jail. There was a barbecue helped them to escape from jail.
Yes.
What really happened at that occasion?
At that occasion, and by the way, that is where also Tigreg was before he was killed. During that course of people going to the prisons to break away people, Tigreg was among the people who were freed by the lords of barbecue. So at that time, the Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, was not in the country. He had come here to Kenya to sign some memoranda with the President, President Ruto. You remember that it could not happen. The MSS could not deploy before that signature was appended. And that was a request of the Kenyan judiciary. When the Kenyan courts say that this deployment should not go unless we have a bilateral agreement between Haiti and Kenya. So that is why the Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, had to fly to Kenya so that he can append that signature. And we have a bilateral relationship between Kenya and Haiti that will now facilitate MSS to be deployed in Haiti. So during that time, there was a lot of heat in Haiti because you remember also barbecue did not like Ariel Henry. They say that Ariel Henry is part of the problem that Haiti is finding itself in. Of course, the opposition at that time, because Ariel Henry was appointed by the government of Jovenel Moise, he was not in good terms with the opposition, people who were against the PHTK. So that means that the GPEP and allies were not also for Ariel Henry. Then you have the G9 and family also not for the Prime Minister. So that is the time when they came together and say that, hey, GPEP, G9, 400 Mawozo, whatever, we have a common enemy, and that is Ariel Henry and his government. So let us do something. So that is when they came together and covered a lot of areas in the city, because when they came together, they had a larger force, and it was easy for them now to prevent the police officers from doing their normal work. That is when now you found that they even went to the airport, they took over the airport, they went to the other important facilities, they took over, and that is when even they went to the prisons. Of course, these are criminals, these are people who are engaging in criminal activities. A lot of their friends have been caught and they are in jail. So that is when they decided to go to the jails, the prisons, and free them so that they can go back to their service in the criminal world. So that is the point when everything broke loose in Haiti. That is the point when all international media now focused on Haiti, so that this is a real problem and this problem has to be solved. We cannot let a country, an entire country, to be led by a gang leader. You can imagine an entire country being led by a gang leader. How will that gang leader come to another country and say they want to make bilateral relations? It is not possible, as well as it is not a good show of how humanity should continue. We cannot reward people who commit crimes.
Okay, as you are finishing, what can you say the last thing as you are finishing?
Well, as I'm finishing, I would like just to point out that there have been a lot of rumors regarding our forces deployment in Haiti. And many have said that they've not seen a lot of action. Well, the problem is they had not yet been facilitated well. I think we've been saying here time and time again that our forces...
I think Godfrey said that they need to be facilitated.
Yes.
So that they can engage into action with the gangs.
Exactly. They didn't have enough supplies. They didn't. You cannot go and fight an armed insurgency when you are not prepared. And we here in Kenya, we don't have people who are Rambos and etc. movie content creators. We have human beings, intelligent human beings who will fight rationally, in a rational way. So that is why they were not sitting duck. They were patrolling parts of the city, but they were waiting for the opportune time for them to go and engage these gangs. And as a matter of fact, they received some supplies over the weekend, and now they are ready. They are ready to go and face even the gangs wherever they are. So they received armories, they received armed vehicles, they received even ammunition that will now help them to go and counter the gangs, as well as Jamaica sent some of its troops in Haiti to join our Kenyan forces. So it is not only Kenyan forces who are there, We are waiting for the deployment of other police officers who had pledged to be part of it, including Bangladesh, Benin. Yes, even Bangladesh pledged that they will send their police. So we are waiting also for them to be 2,500. Our police officers are only 600. You know, you cannot have 600 people fighting the entire gang.
The 200 gangs.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is not making sense for now people to start castigating our police officers that they are not acting up. They have to wait for the opportune time, and that is part of military activity. You do not just go to engage because of emotions. Yeah. You don't go to engage because of people saying that you should engage.
I think the motto of the military is then when we are attacked,
yes.
we strike.
Yes.
Yes.
So
you cannot attack someone if that person hasn't attacked.
Exactly.
So they are waiting for the gang to attack them so that they can fight.
Yeah. So they have to look at that opportune time when they will be ready, when they will be facilitated enough so that they can tackle them. And I believe they will just do a good job.
They will. Yeah. That's what we pray for them. We as Kenyans, we are here behind you. Like you have said, they have received enough weapon.
Yeah.
And so whatever that they are waiting right now is just the soldiers to come together and create a chemistry and take care of each other while they are going to attack the leader. And the enemy over here is barbecue. I think that is the real enemy.
Yeah.
Hope that guy is going to face the consequences. Until next time we say game over.